Well, our message is very clear, particularly after what we've seen over the weekend, which is that we need an end to this indiscriminate violence alongside the targeting of opposition politicians, journalists and other critics. So we need to see an end to that brutality, and they've got to start thinking about a route forward which can restore the democratic trajectory, if you like, of Myanmar. We'll continue to look at how we hold individual members of the regime to account. We're also looking at businesses from this country doing business with any of the firms in Myanmar that are controlled by the military. We've reviewed our aid so that we're not directly or indirectly propping up or supporting government initiatives as opposed to initiatives that get directly to the people. At the end of the day, there's a distinction between the military and the humanitarian suffering of the people there. And we're very clear we want to support the civilians, particularly those who are suffering, whether it's the Rohingya or others, or those political dissidents and political leaders, democratic leaders, and the regime who we will hold to account for their actions. I think it's really important that China and the authorities in Hong Kong hear a very clear message. When China brought in the national security legislation, they were explicit this was being done to restore public order, not to crush political dissent. I think the actions, the prosecutions against such a large number of political opponents demonstrate that China is not keeping its word on Hong Kong. And it's given its word to the UK through the Joint Declaration International Treaty. It's given these assurances around how the national security legislation is going to be deployed and enforced. And I think it's incumbent, particularly on a leading member of the international community like China, for it to live up to its undertakings, its obligations, and to keep its word. Well, this is a choice for China. We certainly don't see China in outdated Cold War terms. We see it as a country with huge economic potential, great opportunities for constructive engagement. For example, it's the biggest investor in renewable technology. That's really important around climate change and with COP26 coming up. But from the theft of intellectual property to some of the questions that we do need to be answered around the outbreak of coronavirus, to its approach in Xinjiang and Hong Kong on human rights, I do think it also is important that the international community stands up to be counted and stands up for the values that we hold dear. And as I said before, the undertakings that China itself has given in this regard. We've contributed £1 billion in aid to Yemen, so of course we're going to set out later on the commitment we'll make for the forthcoming year, but we will maintain our position as a major donor. On top of all of that, we are helping to galvanise the effort that the UN is leading, particularly Martin Griffiths, the Special Envoy, to try and bring peace to Yemen, and we will continue in that absolutely steadfast endeavour of trying to bring peace for the people of Yemen, and we will make sure that we are a generous big-hearted supporter on the aid front, which is, of course, just one part of the strategic jigsaw in that country.